So we don't always get to pick our audience. That's why getting an audience with the Pope is such a big deal, or the Dalai Lama. We can't decide that Peyton Manning is going to come to our wedding. We can ask, but he's probably not going to. Ariana Grande is probably not going to take you to prom. Morgan Freeman is not going to narrate your audiobook. Without paying for it, you can't just decide, oh, this person's going to sit and listen to me. So we have to really think about who is our audience. If we're making it for people outside of ourselves, if we're making it for the outside of the world, there is an audience there. The people that show up at the beginning are there for you, and your goal is to try to make people show up because they like what you're doing. So you're actually showing up for them, and it's a mutual transaction. What if you don't want to think about your audience at all? That's the equivalent of wandering around in the dark and hoping you run into them. It might happen, but why would you put all of that effort into something without at least thinking about your audience? So this is one of the things that I think about a lot. This is one of the reasons that I'm so interested in storytelling is, what is your relationship in the thing that you're building to your audience? You're allowed to have more than one audience, but you need to figure this out. And an audience is not a focus group, because a focus group looks at something critically. And that's usually not what we're going for. Maybe you are out there just looking for the critics. I would recommend against it. So if they're not focus groups, what are they? They're just the people that like what you're doing. Maybe you know who your audience is and you're building something for them. I think in a lot of ways that's a better way to start. But if you have something, you've got to figure out who it's for. And if the audience isn't engaged, that means two things. The story you're telling isn't engaging enough for the audience, or whatever you're making, whatever you're selling, whatever your company is, does not match the audience. And so you've got to change your product or change your audience. But just ignoring your audience altogether is basically just the same as expecting Oprah to put your book on her Book of the Month Club, even though she's never read your book and no one's ever heard of you. We'd like to hear from you first. That's why we want to be in your audience.